Welcome to episode 73C, part 3 of Daniel 11. This is a very long chapter, and it's very complicated, so I imagine there'll be like episode 73 HIJK. I don't know, but this is C. Let's finish up. Excuse me. But there will be reports that will disturb him out of the sun rising and out of the north, and he will certainly go forth in a great rage in order to annihilate and to devote many to destruction. And he will plant his palatial tents between the grand sea and the holy mountain of decoration, and he will have come all the way to his end, and there will be no helper for him. Let's read some notes here. One of the most famous kings of the northern kingdom, the Seleucids, was Antiochus the Great, or Antiochus the Third. His rule was long, from 223 through 187 BC. That's 36 years. He was an important figure in Israel's history because under his reign, control for Israel shifted from the Ptolemies of the southern kingdom to the Seleucids of the northern kingdom. This set the stage for the next important phase of Israel's history: the atrocities the Jews would suffer under Antiochus III's vile son, Antiochus Epiphanes IV, a historical type or foreshadowing figure of the Antichrist. Wow, that's saying a lot. Antiochus Epiphanes persecuted the Jewish people exclusively for their religious faith, just as the Antichrist will, and I guess as Hitler did, and as the Muslims are doing now. Not all the Muslims, but a lot of them, headed by Iran. He once caught a group of Jews in a cave observing the Sabbath. He then had the mouth of the cave sealed, set fires inside to suffocate them. Historians record that during his march on Jerusalem, Antiochus IV killed around 80,000 Jews. He took 40,000 people and sold them into slavery, and also plundered and desecrated the temple. Yet his power would come to an end, and he would be destroyed in 144 BC. When Judas Maccabeus took back the temple, he rededicated it to God in a feast that Jews still celebrate to this day, Hanukkah. Although an even greater enemy of God and his people will arise in the future in the Antichrist, this vision reveals an important principle behind the events of history. Behind the events of history lies a sovereign God who directs its affairs. The first of the three kings of Persia is Cyrus. The fourth is probably Xerxes I, followed by a mighty king, Alexander the Great. The four winds of heaven are his generals. I thought he was talking about Alexander the Great from Greece, because he amasses a great kingdom, and then he dies of Guillain-Barré disease Guillain-Barré disease, and his kingdom is divided into 4 parts, and they stopped attacking everybody. And his 4 generals each take a piece of the kingdom. I thought they was talking about Alexander the Great. The first of the 3 kings is Cyrus. The 4th is probably Xerxes I, followed by a mighty king, Alexander the Great. The 4 winds of heaven are his generals, as it mentions in Daniel 7 and 8. Daniel depicts a long conflict between the kings of the north and the kings of the south. The southern kingdom was known as the Ptolemies, Egypt. That was their name for king, Ptolemy. And the northern kingdom, the Seleucids, that is the people that rule Syria. Because Israel, so you got Egypt from the south and Syria from the north. Because Israel is located between the 2 kingdoms, geographically, it was often caught in struggles between the 2 powers, and their battles taking place on Israel's soil. So they'd come to Israel to fight their battles. Syria in the north, Egypt in the south, and they would meet in Israel, and they'd have their battles. The daughter of women refers to Antiochus, the third's daughter, Cleopatra. He married her to the king of the south, Ptolemy V, probably as a way to spy on the Egyptians. But Antiochus III's plan backfired when her affections turned toward her husband more than her father. Oh, she fell in love with Antiochus and started to be on his side as opposed to her father's side. The reference to a ruler who will bring the reproach to an end gives a glimpse of a new world power looming on the horizon. Rome. The fighting between the north and the south, Syria and Egypt, climaxed with one particularly evil ruler, Antiochus Epiphanes IV. It's almost spelled like Epiphany. Epiphany is a sudden burst of intuitive insight. I've had a few in my life. It's pretty astounding. It's where all of a sudden, all this stuff in your head comes together. All these ideas or experiences. It all comes together, and you see the truth of the situation and why all these seemingly unconnected incidents are related to bring you to where you're at right now. It's when it all makes sense. So I've had that happen to me 3 times, and it is mind-blowing. That's just his name, Epiphanes. I don't know why they would name it after him, but I'm gonna do more research on this. I'm gonna do subsequent episodes, and I'll try to do at least 2 more episodes just on Daniel 11, so that I understand it better, and maybe you'll understand it better. Antiochus, the fighting between North and South climaxed with one particularly evil ruler, Antiochus Epiphanes IV, who reigned from 175 to 163 BC. He showed a complete disregard for God and his people, persecuting the Jews, killing, they said in one chapter here, 80,000, and enslaving another 40,000, burning them in a cave, a church group. Wow. The Prince of the Covenant, I mean, that's just like Hitler. The Prince of the Covenant is probably a reference to Onias III. The high priest in Jerusalem, when all these events occurred, Onias III, is the prince of the covenant, because he was more sympathetic to the south, to Egypt. Antiochus IV had him removed from his position. Antiochus IV attempted to evade the south with much loss of life. Oh, I got to stop here. I'll continue